I sort of hatched the idea that I was going to form this band, and people would say, what's the band going to be called? And long before I met any members of the band, they used to say Smashing Pumpkins. It was sort of a joke.
I think they'll be one of the bigger bands of the late 20th century.
This used to be the rehearsal space. For whatever reason, when I had this sort of strange period in my life, I started living in here.
I used to be a little boy, so old in my shoe.
Being young and being brash and being just, you know, we want the world and we want it now, you know, getting out there and making some noise.
Their sound was just so heavy and rocking, and they just had that beautiful, dreamy distortion that just, you know, blows me away.
The Pumpkins' appeal is based on music that's extremely substantial, that's not trendy, that's not following along in anybody else's footsteps or trying to capitalize on a trend. The Pumpkins defined their own trend.
To me, they're a defining band for the decade, for the 90s. There's no doubt about it.
Most rock bands want to make sure that they always look cool, they always come out ahead. We've actually been willing to fall on our own sword and kill ourselves to make our point. I think that'll make more sense over time.
Thank you, Pumpkins. We'll miss you. We love you.
This
Q101.
This Fox special presentation of the Smashing Pumpkins is brought to you by WKQX-FM.
I really believed in the band from day one, and it has to do with Corrigan and his work ethic. I felt that there were a lot of barriers and a lot of doors they had to break down. They had to do it themselves, which they did successfully. There's no way for anyone to tell how big a band could actually ever be, but I knew that what they had was very special and very different than what was being pushed through MTV and being pushed through, you know, Rolling Stone. And sort of the fanzines at the time. You know, there was a heavy punk scene going on. There was a heavy industrial scene going on. And there's this sort of like hard rock, glam, goth, you know, metal band with a singer with a voice like an angel one moment and a banshee the next moment.
From the first band that I had very, very strong ideas about what kind of band I wanted to have. So when I met the band members, Jimmy Chamberlin, James Iha, and Darcy Retzky, I said, this is the kind of band I want to have, this is the kind of music I want to play, so if you don't want to do that, don't join this band. The basic Pumpkins philosophy from the beginning was that everything had already been done. You couldn't write better songs than the Beatles, you couldn't be heavier than Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath, you couldn't be cooler than Cheap Trick. There was no way you were going to top that. So all you could really do was try to rip off what you liked about it and sort of throw it back at people in a different way. And for the Pumpkins in the early 90s, it was to be antagonistic, it was to be thought-provoking, it was to try to get under people's skin.
Back in '88, I received a couple of demos. One was from a band called Snake Train, and one was from a band called Smashing Pumpkins. Snake Train was basically James Iha, his project. And then this Pumpkins project was Corrigan with Iha. And hearing the Pumpkins demo was interesting. I felt, you know, there was something really beautiful about sort of like these heavy little pop songs.
Honestly, we were so naive. We really didn't have any specific goals in the beginning. We just thought, let's just be good and see what happens. We made a tape in this guy's basement, and I gave Joe Shanahan the tape. And I didn't hear from him for about a month. And he called me up one day and he said, I gotta tell you, I haven't gotten this tape out of my car for a month. And I was completely shocked because I'd taken the fact that he hadn't called me for a month to mean that he didn't like the music. He said, this is incredible. You guys have really got something here. I said, great. I'm thinking, what does this mean? Like a, you know, a better show at the Metro?
I'm down. Try to reach for reasons in your been alive. Your city too full. Your city too full. Try to look for something in your city too full. Yeah.
They were from Chicago, and it was a local sensation, and their shows were just getting better. I mean, the songs were getting better, but the live performance was getting monstrous.